Currently serving as a product owner at Society General, a global solution center. She leads the documentation team for various banking and financial products and services. Seba's role involves defining the vision, scope, and roadmap of deliverables, managing backlogs, prioritizing user stories, and collaborating with stakeholders and development teams. As an Agile certified professional, she applies the best practices of Scrum methodology to ensure the timely and quality delivery of documentation projects. In this session, Seba will explore the nuances of applying Agile principles to three distinct roles: documentation managers, individual contributors, and aspiring product owners. By understanding these unique contexts, we can enhance our productivity and collaboration, ultimately driving project success. By tailoring agile principles to these roles, we can foster a more efficient, collaborative, and responsive work environment that drives success across all levels of our organization. So, we are confident that Zeba's extensive experience and passion for creating impactful documentation will provide us with valuable insights and practical takeaways. So, without further ado, please join me in welcoming Zeba Shireen. Thank you, Zeba, for being with us today. We look forward to your presentation. Over to you.
Thank you, Rahul. Thank you so much for the detailed introduction. And I will quickly share my screen. Let me know if it is uh, visible. Yes.
Yes, Zeba, we can.
Are you able to see?
Yeah, we can see.
Yes. Yes. Are you able to see well now?
Yes, we can.
Yes. Perfect. Okay, so hello everyone. Thanks Rahul and Puneet for inviting me for this platform. And without any further delay, I would like to start the discussion that we are going to have today. Not just eventually, I will also take up the questions and everything that, as Puneet explained, as per the schedule. So, yes, I'm here to talk about agile methodologies today. This session is to explore what are the various ways in which agile can help us and enable us to be better in whatever we are performing today. Okay, so just a brief, the detailed already was provided by Rahul, but I would just like you to know that why am I here? As Rahul explained, that over the past few years, I had the privilege of working as a product owner. I learned great deal about the intricacies of what product management is, what the methodology bring, and what kind of deliverables it helps me to bring into the table when it comes to the product deliveries altogether. So these are the things that I extensively worked when I started. I had absolutely zero knowledge about what this entire process is, who are the key role players, what the ceremonies are, why am I asked certain questions that is coming from the product management team or from the stakeholders. So I was not aware, and it was a lot of challenges that I faced while learning this in the process. So this role has allowed me to master on a lot of things, which includes being a very regular participant in the vision definition itself, right? So I would say that the holistic understanding has helped me to bring much more meaning and drive a much more meaningful contribution to the product team overall, right? So uh, as I would like to start with the present scenario that we have today with most of us. Okay, so where are we today? We are, most of us are forced agile practitioners. If you try to understand this term, it is mostly either the organization have agile practice and we have to be a part of it, or we do not actively participate. We are just added on certain ceremonies or occasions when it is required. Some organizations, we are fully participating into the process, and we are well versed with the all the intricacies, details, and the collaborators and everything, right? But very few of us are in that stage. Most of us are forced agile practitioner. So I would like to kind of express this, that even me was in when I was in this stage. what were the issues that I was facing, right? So first of all, I had a lot of misunderstanding about what agile practice principles and practices are, right? And because I was not trained, or I did not put in an effort to do the kind of understanding, it was always that I was not able to participate 100%. So without the participation, even collaboration was not happening to the level that it was expected to happen, right? And when we do not understand the process, automatically we start resisting the fact that we don't want to adopt something, because, like, I don't know it. I don't know if I would want to know it, or if I want to do it or not. Will I be able to give that kind of time or not? All of these things we will resist more and more because we are not clear on what benefits agile practices bring in, right? And it also ends to the low morale and frustration because we are not contributing equally as we see the development team and the architect teams and the other stakeholders performing, right? So this brings into a lot of things like because the practices are inconsistent, the delivery value is also compromised at times because we were not regularly participating in these events, and we end up missing a lot of communication. And hence, when there is a lot of gap, the retrospective that is expected to happen and improve more and more and more is not happening, right? And there is a lot of times that agile promotes documentation, but only limited documentation. We won't be able to suffice to the demands that is there because we will not be aware of what documentation rules defined by the agile practices, right? So I'm sure we all can relate at some point or the other in our career. Either we were there or we are here today, right? So that is the reason why I emphasize understanding this process and why am I here for this session. So as a trained agile practitioner, what all are the things that you can achieve, right? So you will have a very clear understanding of the agile principles. So it's the very first thing. If the product manager comes to you and is asking you for certain kind of inputs or certain kind of deliverable expectation, the timeline and everything, you will have a very clear understanding of where the product manager is coming from. Why is he asking or she asking certain kind of questions, right? We will be able to more efficiently participate and collaborate with the other team members, and we will also be more adaptable to the new changes that comes in because we understand the process and we know where the requirements are from, right? It will also bring us a very high morale because we are also equally contributing like other team members. There is no more or less. We all have our own responsibilities to take care, and if we participate well, we will be able to do a lot of improvements on a continuous basis, which in turn will give us results in better documentation and value delivery, right? So there are a lot of many of us might be facing this challenge of using even the agile tools properly. So when we are trained well here, we know all the details of how an agile tool is used, why are we using it, what kind of results it's going to generate, and what all are the outputs that our leaders, the document leaders or the manager that we are reporting to, or the product manager or the development team that we are reporting to, will be a lot more happy and would like to collaborate more and more with us because we will be in sync with the practice that's the entire organization is performing, right? And it'll also bring in a lot of transparency because we will also be participating regularly. We will know what challenges the other teams are facing. We will also get a chance to put our challenges in place, which will lead to a very good rapport with the entire team, and the work will become much more smoother. And the most important part is the customer focus. So when agile comes in picture, the customer focus becomes the primary key. So the customer focus will be much more effectively practiced when we are in the process of agile, right? So I hope I set the agenda here of why we are here, why we need to understand, and why we need to be well versed in the agile practice. We should also be able to bring up our level and collaborate effectively and level up the team of technical writing that we have today. Correct? So that is the whole intention behind bringing this topic up. So as I move on, So today's agenda is going to be, I will be introducing Agile and very brief about the timeline. We will have a short quiz in which I'll be checking the present knowledge, whatever whoever we are attending here have at present. And then we will delve more into the roles and ceremonies, Agile for managers, for contributors. What is it for aspiring product owners? And then we will move on to Q&A, right? So let me start here. When I say introduction, I'm not going to go by the definition of it. Agile is as simple as building a Lego city. I am sure we all have sometime or the other have played this, right? So when we are building a city or when we are building anything smaller, how do we work towards it, right? If we understand that this is something big that I'm going to develop today, how do I approach it? I make the bigger project into smaller chunks, and then I also we also tend to allot a smaller time to be able to do the smaller chunks. And in that short time, I build the smaller thing and then I show it to whoever it is, the friends, parents, or elders, whoever are around us, and then show, okay, this is what we are. This is what I'm doing. Like, does it look nice? Do you think I can improve something? And then when you're discussing all of that, then there might be some suggestions that come up, or maybe your elder sibling or younger sibling is able to help you do that, and then you make those changes. And when you make those changes, your product becomes better, and then you repeat the process again. Then you go to the another building, you develop the another part of it, and then you again take suggestion, okay, this is looking fine or not, how can I improve it? So this is exactly what Agile is bringing in our day-to-day life and in our day-to-day work atmosphere. So when we are doing it in smaller chunks, it becomes a lot more easier to focus and to give the quality work that's expected. And here, let me tell you, when we follow Agile, everybody is expected to have that kind of understanding that the deliverable is a small. So even the customer is very well aware of what kind of deliverables are you going to have. They are not going to ask you for an end product until unless it is time to ask for the end product. So everybody is very clear on the deliverables as well. So moving on to the next one, timeline, right? So as you can see, and I'm sure many of you might be aware as well, it started somewhere around 1980s when the smaller methods were coming into picture. And then during 2001 is when the manifesto was created. Manifesto is something that you can, any given point of time, Google about what Agile Manifesto is, and you will get a very clear picture on why Agile is what it is. And there are 12 guidelines to it that we can follow. And if we understand that, it will become much more easier to understand why Agile is being used across. So that is what eventually led to the SAFE framework and the other practices that were brought in picture. And then the adoption and expansion started taking place during 2000. And during 2010, somewhere around 2010, Agile expanded beyond software development and other industries also started adopting it. And Agile is one thing that you can modify and tweak in and do whatever adjustments you need and adopt it according to your needs. So that is the best part about it. So that is how other industries were also be able to pick it up. And then now, as we see, it is continuously evolving. We have DevOps practice also included in it. There are a lot of teams who are involved in this, and it is helping us to bridge the gap, and to make that connection that was not there between the multiple teams when we were working across, right? Yes, so this is about the timeline. Now, the next that I'm going to talk about it, what are the principles of agile methodology? And I'm sure at least some of you would have come across this, and you would have got a chance to read through it and what it is. But today we'll just go through it a little more. So, principles of agile methodology, there are a few things that is practiced at the very core of essence of this method. The first thing is individual interaction over process tool. So the first thing that this process brings is that I need to have a one-on-one conversation with my team instead of there is any tool which over which I'm following up with my team. No, if I can have an individual interaction with my team, that is the best thing that can give the outcome. Second thing is working software over comprehensive documentation. So earlier, when when Agile was not adopted, the process was that there will be a detailed documentation that will be provided to the client saying that this is how it will look like. This is what we will be doing at the end of 1 year, 2 year, or how many ever year you have defined for your product. This is how it is going to look like. But Agile does not follow that. Agile brings the process to you that you cut short and you make your deliverables into smaller chunks. And instead of giving a comprehensive documentation for it, you give the working software. So the similar thing is applicable for the technical writers as well. When I say a product, consider your documentation as a product, right? So rather than telling what the deliverables and what kind of deliverables we will be giving you, what documentation will look like, instead we start giving the smaller outcomes. Like this is probably the view how the template will look like. This is the kind of information that we will have. So first we will document a little bit brief about whatever the product is, and then we go a little more one level deep, and that is how we deliver a working software over comprehensive documentation. The third one that I'll be talking about is the customer collaboration over contract negotiation. So earlier, customer was not involved on a day-to-day basis, at least on a regular basis. There were hardly any time that the entire team got a chance to collaborate with the customer and work based on the need that is coming from the customer, right? So we ended up having a lot of contract negotiation that this was not told earlier. This is not told earlier. We waited for 6 months. We waited for 1 year. You said something else is what is delivered. That's not the case here at all. When we say customer collaboration, we are delivering smaller chunks on a very regular basis. Customer is able to see and is able to give feedback. No, this is not something that I wanted. I wanted it to be like this. So the modification is easier to make in a smaller deliverable and then improve the deliverable for further instead of giving the entire deliverable and then you have to correct the entire thing. So this is one part. And the next one is responding to change over following a plan. So for example, if I'm working on a module that is what I expected to deliver in a sprint, and I see that this process is not working out for me, I need to change or tweak the process maybe in this way so that it works out because I know that my team is finding it a little difficult. So such changes are adopted very, very faster in Agile compared to other process. So here we are against following a very stringent plan that you have to go from A to B to C to D. If you think that going from A directly to E helps you, you are always welcome to make those changes in this method. Right. So this is a very brief about the core principles that we have. Um, I would like to do a small quiz now and would request all of you to participate. Um, so the questions are very basic about Agile and whatever we all are aware of. Even if we know the term Agile, some of it we should be aware of, right? Just to give it a shot. Puneet, let me know. I'll be moving on to the next slide now. You can launch the poll as well. So my first question is what percentage of organization report using Agile? I'll give you
Maybe
30 seconds.
95.
Okay.
I mean, as you mentioned, all of us are forced agile practitioner that we are not aware of, but we are doing those processes. And I realized it, last year when I joined the certification course in TWT.
Okay. Okay. Great.
So do we have the,
Yes. So
are
the
you all
answer.
able to vote?
I am not able
No, we
to
cannot.
vote. We are not
You
able to
cannot
vote.
vote.
We only see
Yes.
the question, Puneet. The options aren't
To see
available.
this poll, go back to your meeting or the poll apps. It's telling us to go to the poll apps, which is not there.
Oh,
Yes. So
that's interesting. Sorry for that.
So that's okay, Puneet. Valuing the time that we have, we can
Yeah,
just go by
yeah.
the slides. Yeah. So thank you so much, Puneet. Anyways, yes. So yes, when I talk about the percentage, it's 95%. Okay, so imagine the kind of expansion Agile has made today in the industry, and what should be our aim to reach. If we want technical writing team to get that kind of recognition and the value, we should also be skilling up ourselves and coming into the direction where we also understand Agile to what it is, not just playing the guessing game of what Agile might be, right? So the next question that I have, are you able to see my screen well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes.
So my next question is, which agile framework is most widely adopted? This we all should be knowing well because even if we are a first practitioner, we are doing this, right? So do we see some answers on the chat? Yeah, perfect, perfect. I was expecting at least more answer on this. So yes, it is Scrum. That's the method that we are like that's widely adopted because that also makes a lot of other process and ceremonies easier. My next question is, what agile principle helps technical writer to create user-friendly documentation? Okay, I see one, two, three as well. Yes. So, as many of you are saying, it's all four, or it is a few. It's actually the core that helps us the most is the user feedback because we are very well aware and visible about our audience and the customer whom we are catering to. The user feedback helps very much to us because we can improve and the iterations become much more easier to follow because the feedback is also very, very frequent. So the improvement is also much more faster. Now, my next question is, what type of documentation does Agile promote? I would like to see the answer here. Yes. Okay, so coming back, it is the lean documentation that Agile promotes. Probably you can read about it a little more and you will understand why the answer is lean and not minimalist or comprehensive. Um, because the principle that lean brings in also allows us to document whatever is required, what is the most required, and what is not very obvious. So I'll be moving on to my next question, which is in Agile, technical writers often participate in which daily meeting to stay aligned with the development team? This is super first practitioners part where even if you want to, you don't want to, if you are enjoying it, not enjoying it, participating, not participating, you are still doing it and you are involved. And I see that, yes. Perfect. Perfect. So that's the answer. Stand up is what we are involved in. So I'm glad that many of us are giving me the right answers. And the next question is, this is the last one. Which agile event involves reviewing the work completed during the sprint and planning the next one? Perfect. So many of you were right. When we say sprint review, this is the right answer because sprint planning is something that we involve a lot more detail about planning. But review is when we actually review our completed work, and if there are any spillover, we get a fair idea of what the next sprint is going to look like. That is why the planning the next one is added here. Okay, so You thanks for responding on this so quickly. I'll be moving on to the next part, which is the roles, which the various roles that we have, right? So the first role that we all are aware of is the development team that we have, and I would not like to go in detail for this. Then the second one and the most important one is the Scrum Master. The Scrum Master is the one who have to ensure that uh, somebody is not on mute. And can you please mute yourself? Okay. Okay, great. Yeah. So Scrum Master is the person who is responsible for every ceremonies that's happening. It is expected to happen on time. The person who is in charge for the right kind of work being given to the team, the right amount of work being given to the team, ensuring that we have the clear velocity of the team and the work that's distributed in the team is evenly done. Right, so Scrum Master is a major role player in this. Then we have stakeholders. Stakeholders are the one who keep an eye on what is that is expected out from us, and if it is matching up to the deliveries that we committed to, and all of that. I'm sure we understand the word stakeholders. And then there are agile coaches. So not every company have their own agile coaches. I was fortunate to have a few in Soggen. So these are the people who keep a watch on if the agile practice is being followed or not, and if it is followed well or not, and what kind of training do they require to follow it well, and if there are any trainings required, they are the ones who will be providing it, because they are the ones who are certified to provide agile trainings to the team in the organization. And the last one that we have is the product owner. So product owner is like, in a way, like a one-man army who will be running the show in a lot of ways that we will be talking about in the coming further slides. So now the next thing that I will explain you is about the ceremonies. What are the various ceremonies that happens? So first thing is the sprint planning. So we plan our work. We see that the number of cards that has come in. Either we create the card or the engineering team has assigned us the card, or any team, whoever you are working with, have assigned you the card, or you are the only one who are creating it. Whatever be it, the sprint planning is done with the existing cards that we have on our plate, and seeing how much work we will be able to do it, how much of the velocity that we have. For example, if I'll be able to do only 7 days of work and the sprint is for 10 days, I should not get the work assigned for 10 days because I'm not available. And that's what benefit Agile brings in place, because we calculate the velocity in advance. So we have sprint planning. Similarly, we have a sprint review that we just spoke about. At the end of the sprint, we see whatever work has been done. There are different dashboards that can be created using Jira. So that helps you to also get a very clear picture about the graph on how many tasks you have done and how much of it you were able to achieve and not achieve it. What were the tasks that you could do and what is it that is moving forward. The next one is the sprint retrospective. So while doing all of these, the entire sprint, you saw there are some things that needs to be changed or some process that needs to be modified. This is the call where you are expected to do that. You are expected to discuss the problem statement and then what is the solution that comes in, and how are you going to implement that solution in the coming sprint so that this problem does not reoccur again. And there is one more ceremony that's called as backlog refinement. So what happens is, before we are even going to start this sprint, we have like a lot of work that's coming from everywhere. If we are working in a multi project team, or there are multiple teams who are assigning us work, so everything is coming and, like, being dumped in our backlog. So then it's the product owner's job to check if the backlog is in the right sequence or not. If it is not in the right sequence, make it in the right sequence, prioritize and deprioritize things, and then pick up tasks based on the priority. So as we move the task based on the priority, the sprint planning becomes easier. And the tasks that are moved to the high priority are the ones that the team pick up during the sprint planning, and then see if we need to break down these tasks into smaller ones, or we can do this as one task itself, and all of that is discussed that time. Now, the next one is the daily stand-up. I need not explain this. We've been participating it on a on, like, long enough. as the word says, daily stand up ideally is supposed to be for 15 minutes, where everybody in the team, or at least one representative of each team, comes to the call and explains the status of the work, if there is any blocker, if there is any progress, or if there is anything that we need to be discussed, or any dependency on any other team member. All of these are discussed during the daily stand up, and it's the Scrum Master who runs this show, right? So up till here, I've explained about the ceremonies and what the overall, like, a lighter picture about what Agile is. Now my focus is more towards what is Agile for documentation managers. So why documentation managers need to understand Agile? That is the first question that will come to your mind. I'm already doing my job. I'm already a product manager. Like, I'm already feeling like I'm doing all the work that a product manager is supposed to be doing, or a product owner is supposed to be doing. Why should I understand Agile? It does not work that way. See, documentation managers or the leads are the key members who are working very closely in this setup. Every single team member might not be involved, who are the individual contributors, but the doc managers are very closely working with the product management team, right? And they represent the documentation team at various platforms. So the first responsibility that comes in, because they are the face of the team, that awareness of Agile becomes much more important, because when you're representing the team, you would not want to go in and represent that my team does not know so much. Even if there are people who know it, if you are representing the team, it becomes a responsibility to be more aware of what Agile is. Why are you talking to the product owner? Why are you talking to the product managers? And why are they asking you certain questions? Right? So for that, there are some 4 5 key things for which brings in the importance of Agile for doc managers. The first thing is the role adoption, right? You need to understand that there is a transition that has to happen from the traditional setup and to the new setup. Once you understand Agile, and trust me, life becomes so much more easier when you are following it, and you are following it dedicatedly, right? So emphasizing on a lot of things that the entire team is doing, you will be able to do it when you have adopted the role whole and soul, and you have adopted it with full knowledge of it. The second thing is the collaboration. Collaboration also becomes so much more easier because you are aware on why we are collaborating, what is the purpose behind the ceremonies that are done, what is expected out of a stand up, what is expected out from the reviews, and what is expected from a retrospective. Why, what and where are you responsible for it? Because when we say product managers play entirely different role. We might feel that we are product managers because we are not aware of the kind of responsibility, and we are not able to differentiate it. So my key agenda for advocating for Agile so much is that we need to bring in the right process and the right awareness for Agile. When we represent technical documentation team, we should also be well equipped and be participating in everything that the entire other team, architect, developers, QA, and every other contributors are doing. And moreover, we are also a cross-functional team. We, in many organizations, we are just working across multiple teams, departments, and BUs and everything. It is much more important there, because when we understand Agile, our collaboration becomes so much more easier. The next one is the continuous improvement. Because the continuous improvement is easy once Agile is followed, it'll be easy for the documentation managers also to understand that regularly having smaller deliverables and having the regular feedback and all these loops, keeping it intact, will really help you also to be able to deliver what's expected out from you and your team. The another one is tooling and automation. So we all, I'm sure we all of us, like, feel at some point or the other that I have to create the ticket again. Oh God, I have to maintain this ticket so much. Okay, I have to attend meetings and represent how much work is being done, how many tickets were closed and not closed, and all of that. But once this process you are aware, it is so much more easier, because you will be able to give work to your team, um, enabling them to do it at their 100%. So if I am assigning a team ticket to my team member, I will add in all those minor details. I will add in the story points. I will add in the t-shirt size of the work. I will add in every small measurement of the ticket. So the person to whom I'm assigning will also know that this is the effort that's required from me. Now, if that person is not clear, it's the further slides that we will discuss on how individual contributors should be taking it up. But as a documentation manager or as a lead, you should be responsible on handing over the work in a very structured way, so that the transparency is very, very high and you are giving the right work to the right person. Right. And in that, Confluence and Jira, tools like these helps a lot. The final one and the most important one is the metrics and the KPI. All of us today are being asked, what are the metrics that you're delivering? What are your KPIs? How are you planning to achieve it? If these things are defined well, fetching data out help with the help of these tools and these methods are so much more easier. So if you want to measure the effectiveness of the document, you will know how to measure the user satisfaction. And because the customer is also involved here, there is a regular process in place. So knowing the velocity of your team, you can also see the burn down chart that can be generated after every sprint. The data is automated so well that you don't have to manually sit and do a lot of data gathering. So it plays very, very important role for yourself also, to make your life easier and enable yourself to be able to represent on a bigger platform, and much more visibility will be given to your work, because most of the other team members are also doing it in the same way. So when they can represent in metrics and KPI, why not documentation? Right. So this is what is my perspective, and there are much more to it, but these are the five core things that I think that the documentation managers or the leads will really be able to utilize if they adopt Agile and gather the right kind of knowledge for it. Now I'll be moving on to the next part, which is Agile for individual contributors. Now these are the people who are actually on the ground doing the actual work, creating the content, and also participating in a lot of ceremonies. So if anybody is a scrum master and a technical writer, so also have to perform a lot of other things. If somebody is just a contributor, or somebody is the product owner, all are playing various roles here. But are we understanding the roles that we are playing well enough? As a scrum master, what all am I supposed to do? As a PO, what all is my responsibility? Forget about any role. As a agile member, as an individual contributor, what all are the questions that I'm authorized to ask on a platform like the daily scrum meetings, or the any sync that is happening, or a sprint planning or sprint retro? What kind of questions am I expected to ask? And what is the outcome that I will be benefiting from there? Okay, so there are some key things to this as well. The first one is the mindset shift, and this is the most important one. So when you're changing from a traditional method, from waterfall or anywhere, to agile, it is literally shifting your entire mindset to another level. Now if I want to do like a big work together, it looks so big and it brings a lot of trouble. We've been reading that, break down into smaller chunks, do it into smaller intervals, and it is easy to track your work, and it is also constant learning and improvement. That's a mindset shift, and it is not just applicable in work ways, it is applicable even on our personal level. So mindset shift is the first thing that we have to value. We have to be ready to accept the change that it is bringing in. The second one is taking the ownership. So when your doc manager or your lead is assigning you a ticket, Agile gives you an entire ownership of your task. So if the ticket is assigned in the name Zeba, I am completely having the ownership of developing this particular feature or the enhancement or whatever it is, and I'm the owner for it. So looking at the ticket, as I was mentioning, that asking the right questions. So looking at the ticket, do I understand what this task mean? Does it have the right acceptance criteria? If it does not have, you are an authorized person who can just say, I cannot take this ticket because the deliverables mentioned here are not clear to me. Can we clear it first before I take this up? Acceptance criteria needs to be in place, description needs to be in place, how much time, according to the lead or whoever has assigned the ticket, how much time will this ticket take, should also be very, very clear on the ticket. I cannot be giving a 5 days job to a person and saying that I think that it can be done in 3 days. No, That's not. That is where all these ceremonies play a key role, where these tickets are discussed. If I am a senior person and I think that I know that, like, the tricks of doing things faster, a person who is not so experienced might not be able to do it in that much time. So that kind of understanding will come, and that kind of transparency is required in all those ceremonies. And as a task owner, you are allowed to ask all these questions and not take the work until unless you are clear about how much time it is going to take, right? The next one is the effective communication. Agile brings you to so many situations where you will get a chance to communicate and collaborate much more effectively with all the team members, with stakeholders, with developers, with your own scrum master, everybody, right? So communication is definitely a key here. The next one is the skill development. Now, because like if we all of us, when we start our career early years, we will know that we have to do this, we have, like, we are told to do a lot of things. But eventually, as and when we grow in the field, we also come across a lot of situation where we are working in a lot of cross functional collaboration with other teams, where developers are telling something, QA people are telling something, there is an engineering team who will guide us for a few things. So not just that we are working here and we are forced to work with them, we are also getting to learn a lot about the new opportunities that it is bringing. So I might not be aware that I'm good at something, that I will be like, I'll be able to know when I start working with multiple people. And Agile framework gives you that opportunity to develop your skills, to grow in the direction where you want to grow. You will be able to see a person doing the job live in a setup like Agile, which might not be the case when we are core and focus only on the technical writing team. So this also brings us the opportunity to explore more on our skills and our qualities. The last one is the feedback utilization. So because we get very regular feedback as documentation people, it also becomes much more easy to incorporate these feedbacks into our work, and using these feedback to improve the deliverables. So if I know that using a certain kind of icon for, like, for example, a note, if I'm adding a note and the icon that I'm using is not something that the customer is very comfortable with, and it should be a lighter, on a lighter note and all of that, all such feedback is given on so regular basis that you can keep improving your document, and your end deliverable will be of a very higher quality, right? Okay, so now we spoke about managers, leads, and the individual contributors. Now my next part is aspiring product owners. This is something that we would all want to know, why this lady has come and talking about product ownership so much. Why am I like, trying to explain product ownership to the community here through this call? I'll explain you why, and why is it important for us to know these kind of skill sets. This is a very perfect image for a product owner. I'm sure people who have worked with product owners and have done this job, and or maybe are doing it right now, will be able to relate the kind of spin that we are in. You have to keep the show running. You have to keep running to ensure that everything is happening. You also have to ensure that everything is on time. You are meeting the deliverables. You're bringing in the kind of right results. You're also bringing in new ideas. You're bringing in the right money. And you see these pages flowing. Those are the tasks that sometimes you end up missing because you are busy running on that cycle, right? So what are the key things that a product owner keep in mind? And why is it important for us? The first core job of a product owner is connecting with the customer. You have to be very clear on the demands that the customer requires. The second one is contributing to the vision and the roadmap. You are a important person in the team who will be contributing to what your work is going to look like for the entire year, or probably the coming 2-3 quarters, or whatever measurement you follow in your team. The next one is managing and prioritizing the team and the backlog. Right. So this is the job of the product owner, to ensure that all these tasks that are assigned is assigned to the right person, and is also being done in the right kind of priority. If it is of the highest priority, it needs to be done first, and then your backlog should also show the kind of structure that you will be following in the coming sprints, or the planning and iteration, PI planning, or whatever you follow. And then supporting the team in delivering values. So if I don't understand my team well, if I don't understand their qualities and the strengths that they have, I will not be able to support my team well. So as a product owner, you're also expected to understand this. The next one is getting and applying feedback. So when you are getting a feedback from your customer or the product management people or engineers or anybody for that matter, you know where, what, and how it needs to be applied, and you don't overburden your team by dumping everything on them. You should have that kind of strategic mind to plan your work accordingly and know where and what feedback needs to be applied. Now, when you read this, don't you feel that as technical writers, at least for the people who are like, little more experienced, that we are already doing this job? We are already playing a role of a product owner, but are not called as product owners for documentation. I was fortunate enough to be called as a product owner for documentation, but why is it that we are not aware? That is where the gap comes, because we are not having the right kind of knowledge to be called as a product owner and consider documentation as a service or a product itself, right? So that is where I'm advocating here for the product ownership. Now, when we are technical writers, my upcoming slide will explain you what are the common qualities that we have and the skill sets that is effective and is utilized in both the skill sets. So communication and collaboration is one. As technical writers, we understand what are we communicating and collaborating, but as a PO also, this skill set is a very, very key role. Okay, we are also communicating on a very regular basis with the stakeholders, development team, cross functional, everywhere. The next one is the detail oriented and the user centric. So we are detail oriented and user centric, we are aware, but a product owner is also expected to be this. A product owner is expected to have a very detailed structure of the work that is done, and it is well defined, prioritization, and also using the feedback very, very well and understanding the user much more better. The next one is the analytical thinking and the project management skills. So as a technical writers, when we come to a little, with experience around 5-6 years, we also learn to manage multiple things. We are also running on a lot of timelines and deliverables. Product owners needs to carry the similar skill sets when it comes to managing all of these things. So we are also analyzing the market trends, which as technical writers also we are doing. We are also doing the feedback. We are also making informed decision. As technical writers, PO is expected to do the same. We are also managing the kind of work that we are doing, when we will do, how we will do, and the product manager's job is also to ensure the timely delivery, which we are also doing. So there are a lot of common skill sets, but today we are not demanding a role like where I am doing this entire thing that's required, or maybe I'm willing to learn and I'm willing to be in a position to be called as a product owner for documentation. It's not yet there in Agile because none of us have demanded for it. None of us have been in the position where we are equipped enough, we are skilled enough, we are certified or having that kind of knowledge where we can ask for this, right? So by leveraging these overlapping skills as a technical writer, we can very effectively transition into the role of product owner. I'm not saying that we have to be a product owner for any technical products only. We are so much more into the visibility of content and documentation creation that today we can look forward to do a learning or a certification like product owner and become a expert in doing the documentation itself in a much more agile fashion, right? So I am leaving the floor to you all. This is it that I wanted to present today. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Zeba. Thank you, Ms. Zeba Shireen, for this wonderful session. Actually, your insights have truly enriched our understanding and approach. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
And now, thank you everyone for staying with us throughout this engaging webinar. Now it's time to dive into our question answer session. So we request all of you to please post your questions in the chat box so that we can take all the questions, and our speaker is here for for you to give the answers. Please post your questions here.
I see some questions here.
Yes.
What are the certification and roadmap to become a product owner? So, like any other product owner, there is a certification that needs to be done, which is authorized by Safe Agile group itself. So, when you do a product owner certification, it is very much common to all the technical product owners as well. But in that certification, what you learn is the methods, the different kind of things that you are expected to perform as a product owner. But what value you can add to it is trying to see how effectively can you merge your technical writing experience as a product owner.
There is another question. Can a technical writer switch to a product owner position?
Yes, as I said, yes, and that is the reason that I explained the common skill sets that we are expected to have. And I'll stop sharing the screen, probably it will be easier. Yes, so we can definitely you can move. The only thing I would suggest is that you need to have the right kind of knowledge and information to switch to it. You need to go through the right channels and not just demand being a product owner. You should also have the right certification to call yourself and the right kind of learning and approach to moving towards it. So when you are sitting with a product owner, a product management team, or with all these stakeholders, you should know what kind of expectation is there from you, and not just participate in it. You should also be able to be well equipped to talk in a platform like that.
Okay, there is one question on top actually. So Ajit asks, is KPIs dependent on individual contributors while we are working as a team in Agile?
Yes, obviously. I mean, whatever you are working is eventually leading to the results of the team. You are also a contributor to your day-to-day work. And then that is what is leading to achieving the KPI that was put in place earlier, right?
Ajit will have to answer that.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry if I missed that question. Yes, I see it. So is KPI dependent? Yes, individual contributors. Yes, definitely. Yes. We are working as a team in Agile. That's great. That's great. I'll move on to some questions below. At your org, do you have documentation as a part of? Yes, we do. Yes. And how do Chirag asks, how to manage the user manuals when the back-to-back requirement and the features are how to manage user manuals when back-to-back requirements and the features are improvised. I'm sorry, maybe I'm not clear, but yes, because there are regular feedbacks that you are getting, you also need to manage your deliverables as well. So that is where the planning and the skill set of a good product owner and scrum master comes in place, is where you are trained to do these things well. These are the certifications where you are trained to do these things well, assign the task properly so that you don't overlap with a lot of deliverables and then keep wondering on how are you expected to deliver everything together. So the next question is from Diana. I see, do organizations allow this kind of switching? We will have to advocate for it. I'm here doing that job because even Agile, we were not participating as much as we are doing today, right? Where we were hardly made a part of anything in the Agile setup when we started earlier. I'm talking about 2015-16, when we were just starting with the many organizations were just picking up and training people for Agile. So that's not today. So similarly, eventually some years down the line, because we will start asking today, we will eventually start getting it as well. But as I said, you need to be the person with the right kind of certification and the knowledge and experience to be able to switch to it.
Okay,
Thank you so
Zeba,
much.
I will
Yes.
read the questions for you. So
That's okay.
Avinash
That's
asks,
Huh.
are Agile and Scrum separate certifications, or Scrum will include Agile?
No, Agile will teach you the basics of what Agile as a method is bringing on the table, but PO is something that is separate.
Wonderful. Next, Anamika, can technical writers easily transition to product owner?
Yes.
Something like that you already answered. Please suggest
Yes.
any certification. Okay.
So there are certifications that are done by the SAFE organization itself. As I said, that people like me and many more who are following that will be able to tell you the kind of transition that you need to look when you want, if you want to implement technical writing as a product owner. But if it is purely product owner, then the SAFE certification and moving on into any technical product will also help you equally.
Wonderful. So Tazeen asks, as I see and following agile model, if we don't get timely responses from stakeholders or SMEs, and documentation does not seem important to them, this causes delays and backlogs. How do you handle such situation?
Yes,
Such a popular
I'm
situation.
perfectly. Yeah, this is such a common thing that happens. This is happening because the team who is following is not very aware of the agile model. I'm sure there is some gap in the knowledge, because if you have the right knowledge about the agile setup, you will know which platform you should be available to ask these kind of questions. So you need to well equip yourself about the knowledge and the setup that the agile method is expected to follow. There is no team in the agile setup where which is not important, because as documentation, if not now, maybe eventually will be a part of DoD for most of the teams, be it customer support, be it technical documentation, it is going to be a part of DoD. You will have to participate with the right kind of knowledge, and you will know the process well only when you are aware about the ceremonies. You know what calls happen when. You can always demand for being added in call, like a sync, like a scrum call that is happening, and you can always put in your concern, and then the right the release train engineers or the agile masters, whoever are there, will have to take that up. Because if you are not delivering on time, the entire delivery will get delayed. So you need to be at the right place at the right time to ask these questions. Just see where the gap is, and then eventually you will see that you will start getting the visibilities and answer to for the things that you need.
Right. Okay, next question. Vijayalakshmi asks, using a Jira workflow, can FSD or BRD be replaced with Epic or Story Jiras?
It depends on
Please
what
share
kind
the
of
pro and cons.
yes, it depends on what kind of structure that you are following. So you can replace it with your stories if it is very well defined. So if I am working on one particular part of a feature, and you give me the entire BRD to read through, it is too much overload for me also to go through it, right? But if you specify it in a Jira ticket and say that, Zeba, this ticket is assigned to you, this is the part that you need to take care, this is my acceptance criteria, I expect you to this. Like in acceptance criteria, there are three things where you tell where we are today, and what is the problem statement, and what is the expected outcome. So if that is clear, then I need not go and have to read through all these long documents. These documents are not smaller documents, right? But stories are very specific to what is required. So I will always favor a good written story, a good measured story in place of BRD.
Thank you. Now Ravi Chandra asks, I think, that DSM stands for daily stand-up meeting, probably. So the DSM can be approximately
And
what if extended for an hour or so?
yes. So why it happens? Because as I said, it can approximately be somewhere around 15 minutes and not more that if you are having it daily. And you can always raise your concern saying that the call usually is stretching for a longer time. So can I provide my updates earlier, and then the rest of the discussion can happen. Usually this happens when the product owner has to do a lot of discussion with the development team, architect team, or the engineering team, or the QA team, and they will end up having a lot of discussion, and we will be quietly listening to everything that's going on, right? So if you see that there is no there are polite ways of asking that. Probably you can just say that if I can go ahead with my update, and then you guys can continue with the discussion. That can be one way. Second thing is that you can also put forth this word that can be have like a very clear agenda, which we will be discussing after the updates. So the first 15 minutes, utilize it for updates. The rest of the time, you ensure that the agenda is followed. And if you think you are required to attend anything in that agenda, you attend it or you go ahead with your work. So because you are not aware of the process here on what DSM is like, um, we are ending up not being able to ask the right questions. So today, because I am aware of what this process looks like, I can very clearly be in a DSM and demand that can we utilize the first 15 minutes only for the updates and the rest of the discussion can happen later. Then I can just ask the person who is required in that call to be on the call and rest everybody can exit. I mean, that's what I have been practicing. That as a PO, I would allow others to drop and I will just discuss it with the person until unless the discussion has to be with everybody. But that's not DSM.
Yeah, it
That's
is actually
definitely, yeah.
continues with technical discussion instead of
Yes,
updates. Yeah,
yes,
many
yes,
times it
yes.
happens when PO
Correct.
joins.
Yes, yes, yes.
So there we will have to draw the line. That's where
Yes,
I
yes.
think we have to
And you
step
will
in.
be, yes, and you will be able to draw the line only when you know what the line looks like. So to know what the line looks like is where you need the awareness of Agile much more. That is why I say here multiple times that you need to be very well versed with Agile in today's market. If you want to be into any field, and even if you want to continue as technical writer only, awareness of Agile will bring a lot of benefit for you on your work, as well as will give you a lot of good exposure also, knowing that a person is like, thorough with the process.
Thanks, Eva. Thanks.
Great,
Thank you.
great answer. So I think we have a lot of questions. So we will take
Also, I think
three more
a Scrum
and
Master must be responsible. Sorry. Also, Scrum Master must be responsible, right? To cut short it
Yes,
to,
yes, yes, yes.
it's the
The
main
Scrum Master is
responsibility.
responsible.
Yeah, he should be strong enough to
Yes,
put forth
yes.
that.
The Scrum Master, that's why the Scrum Master, also whoever is performing Scrum Master is again not aware of his responsibilities
Correct.
because he's not aware of Agile. So
Right, right.
you are not stopping the team. Okay, how can I tell the product owner not to talk? Because you are the person who is the in charge of this call and you have all
Yes,
the
is
rights
the
to say
captain
it.
of that meeting. Right.
Yes, 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 yes.
Thank you. That clarifies
Thank
my.
you.
okay, Chandrakant asks, is the product owner role specific to tech writers? How is it different from the tasks that a doc manager does?
So doc manager at times is managing multiple things. When I say product owner role, product owner is specifies to either if you are doing, for example, if you are taking care of a few projects, collab, like, multiple things together, then it can be clubbed and you can be called as a product owner for that if you are like, well aware. And or else if you are taking care of one particular product, and there are a lot of documentation in it which is completely dedicated to you as a person in charge, then you can eventually get into a product owner role of that particular product. But doc manager is handling like 100 other things. So if you give me the right KPIs for your product, doc manager has to represent maybe 20 other KPIs like that. I can't expect the doc manager to be a product owner. Doc manager moves more towards the product management level, right? The product managers where they are dealing with multiple products at a time. Doc manager steps into that kind of level. But the awareness of the role is where I will emphasize more.
Great. So I think there are some questions about certification, but we will take it up during the next round of career part.
Yes.
And then just a few more questions I'll take. We are already ahead of time now. So, and rest, of course, the questions, please feel free to join the Agile group. Zeba is also there. And of course, you can ask your questions there. So I think any certain formula while defining user stories for documentation, that's a bit
Yes.
different question. We
Yes.
will take it in the
Yes.
group.
Yes,
Or
it
else
is
if you
there.
want to take it.
You can, yeah. No, I'm just saying that yes, it is there. Again, if you are like, doing this agile training and you are understanding the process more in detail, you will know how to define a user story well. There is a proper format to it. There is like, no doubt on that.
Right. And the last question we right now for this round, Priyadarshi asks, will Agile model allows to create the draft copy for the release notes first and then work on the specific epic given in Jira? Is it a good practice?
I will probably have to go a little more detail on this. Priyadarshini, will it be okay if we take it like one-on-one? I know.
Sure,
Yeah, you
sure,
can
Zeba.
take one on
Right?
one or
Will it
wait.
be okay? Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
we
yeah. Thank you so
we can
much.
have it in the group also
Yes,
later.
yes, yes. No, I'm
Okay.
saying, yeah, I will speak to Pradarshini on that, yes.
Okay, great. So I think okay, one last question we have. So the says user stories that require documentation are created at the beginning of the sprint or later. Or later. Okay, that's a question. So is it created? What if we come to know the user stories requiring documentation very late? Let's say third week of the sprint or so.
User stories that are created at the beginning of the sprint. What if we come? No, you are not supposed to know it at the end. If you are aware of the process, you will be participating on everything from the very beginning. You will not. So that is where the role of the Scrum Master comes in, and the Scrum Master have to ensure that a particular sprint is defined in advance. So you don't take anything in between until unless it's like a very ad hoc request and it is very urgent. Then also you have to do the analysis that if it is very very urgent, what is it and how much of it can I take it in this sprint if there is a resource that is available and if there is something that can be moved on to the next sprint. So it's a Scrum Master's job to break down the work and see if it is doable or not. It is the product owner's job to work along with the Scrum Master and see the prioritization of it. But you always have the space to say, like, boss, stop. This is what it has to be. Now let's talk on what we can do and how much we can do it.
Great. So I think, yep, that's all for these questions. And so now we will need, Nina, you want to say something, and then we will move on quickly to the next round. Yeah.
Just 1 second, Puneet. I think Priyadarshi and Mridula had raised their hands. Uh, did you want to ask
They
something,
asked the
Mridula and Puneet?
questions.
Oh,
Yeah, we already
Maybe
took the
I have the
questions.
question.
Okay,
sure.
okay. Mridula did not put a question here. Mridula, if there is anything
No,
that
no,
you
Mridula's question already took.
Okay, okay, great.
There was a question there.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So we will conclude our question answer session. Thank you all for the active participation.
Yes.
And before we wrap up, I want to take a few moments to extend our heartfelt thanks to everyone who has joined us today. And we truly appreciate our speaker of today, Ms. Zeba Shireen. Thank you for your time and engagement throughout the webinar. Your active involvement contributed a great success of this event. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And a special thanks to the organizers of this webinar, the entire TWT team, the TWT Kerala team and the Bengaluru team, who are the backbones of this event. We thank each and everyone who has contributed to this event. We look forward to see you again in future for our future events and sessions. Stay connected with Tech Writers Tribe. You will have more opportunity to engage and with more updates we are here always. Thank you once again for being a part of this webinar. Have a great day. And please, all of you, please turn on your video so that we can take some snaps. All of you, please.
I think that's a random request, and let's see how many are ready
Yes,
actually
how
to switch on
many?
the video.
Correct.
Okay. Okay,
It's
so in the
not ready
meanwhile,
for
while
the
people,
camera.
yeah, I can understand completely.
Yes.
Yeah, no issues. Whoever is ready, please switch it on, or else yeah, we will take the a pic of home server switches it on. And yeah, please just give us 1 minute, and we will start with the questions for the career consultation. So, okay, ready, 1, 2, 3. Home server is here for the. We have only few, but yeah, I'll just take this screenshot.
Saturday morning. So
Yes, completely understand.
Yes, completely understandable.
The uh, okay, thank you, everyone. And now,
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.
thank you, Nina, thank you, Rahul. And now we will quickly move to this. We have around 10 minutes. So now, all of you who have questions related to like in Agile, what else you should do basically. So that kind of questions you can ask, and plus the questions like, yeah, product owner. When talking about product owner, what exactly it means to for career guidance. If you want, you can just go ahead and ask questions. Here, you don't need to type, you can simply ask your questions. And before somebody starts, so Ziba, there was a question about recommendation for certification courses. So first part I will say, rest you can go ahead.
Yes.
So just for information, with Zeba only, we're going to launch one course from RN, TechWriter's Tribe. So that course will have two parts. One part will basically cover all about Agile, whatever as a technical writer, IC or manager, what all you need to do basically. So that will be covered, and other part will cover product owner's role. Like if you want to play the role of a product owner, then what all you should do. So those who want to join the full course, they can join the full one, or those who want to join only for Agile, they can join. We will launch this course tomorrow. There will be early bird offer, and of course there will be limited seats only. Okay, so stay put in this groups for that. And yes, Zeba, over to you now.
Yes, thank you, Puneet, for introducing that. So, as in the call, I was mentioning that the importance is very much high to understand Agile well. Let's not be the forced Agile practitioner. Let's be the person who are more aware of the process, is more aware of what they are expected to do, when they are expected to do, how they are expected to do. That's what I'm going to cover in the course that we will be collaborating with TWT and doing. Today, I represent technical writing team as a, like, as it is called as the tribe. I would want all of us uh, in whatever way possible to be aware about what kind of work that we need to do. And if you want to explore your career more towards the product owner role, we need to demand it today. If you want, because me starting as a product owner was also like a big question, and I was thinking, how in documentation, how can I use that in documentation? But I took quite a lot of time to figure out that, and then I eventually realized that there is a lot that can be done in documentation itself. Why should I be moving into a technical side, when, because earlier for me product owner meant only a technical product owner. But why not in documentation? That's what we are advocating here today with TWT, and that's what this course will be covered. We'll be covering Agile in the first 4 weeks, and then eventually be working for the specifically focused for the PO certification. And for PO certification is a certification which will be provided by TWT, and I'll be the one who will be guiding you for how you are going to approach towards this role, what kind of benefits that it brings, what kind of knowledge you should have. All of that will be covered in this. So that's from my end. I hope I covered what was expected from me, Puneet. Anything that I missed?
Yes. No, nothing. Of course, you covered. So I will again go back to that question that what kind of certification. So yes, okay, this is a forum where we told you that, okay, what TechWriter's Tribe is going to do. But of course, this is a forum, it's an open forum. There are multiple courses. I mean, you can simply Google it. And of course, there are multiple forums where you can see Agile certifications and other certifications. The only difference from my personal perspective, I'm saying, and this is in no way to tell you that join only our course. This course, what we are going to promote, this is from a technical writer's perspective. Okay, what you should be doing, how you should be using Agile, like the way Zeba and some other people have used and gained some mileage for documentation teams. Okay, what you should be doing. And that is what she was trying to explain as the role of a product owner. She's not asking here to say that go join as a product owner of the company. From technical writer's perspective, from a manager's perspective, what it can be done. So this is what we will be focusing upon. And yes, as far as global courses are available, yeah, there are a lot. It's not one or two, there are a lot. But there, probably Ziva, you can correct me if I'm wrong. It's primarily from the overall agile perspective, which many
Yes,
companies provide you internally also, but they focus more on product managers, developers. You will
correct.
hardly find any point which is related to documentation. That's the difference we are going to make. Right,
Yes.
Ziva?
Yes, exactly, Puneet. So every time, whenever you will undergo a training or any course, it will be very much generic about what a product owner role is like. But here, our focus will be mainly towards how, as a technical writer, you can transition as a product owner. What are the things that you can do, and what you are doing it right now also. So there will be like a big merge that we are going to bring in here with Agile, PO, and technical writing. So we grow as a community. The end result is that we grow as a community. We are much more aware participant in Agile. We are just no more the old, doc team, which is not aware and will just participate only if needed, or else will get the updates from somebody. I should be enabling at least few of you to question that if this user story does not have so and so information, I should have it. So that's the kind of approach that I'm expecting us as a technical writers to bring in on platforms like a PO Sync or whatever connects you have with your agile team.
Awesome. Okay. So open to questions, any kind of questions you can
Yes, it
and
will
Yeah,
be on
Puneet, Zeba, I want to ask. So the courses what we will be offering will be on weekends only or how it?
yes,
Because
yes.
yes,
office times and the courses cannot be managed, right?
all on weekends,
All on
Saturdays,
weekends.
Yeah,
Sundays.
good. Nice.
I have a question, Zeva.
Yes,
Based on the PO certifications, okay.
yes.
So is it a correct path actually? Okay, when I was doing little research on doing the certification, whether to go for directly to product owner or after completion of the project management, no, the PM certification, then I have to move into the PO certification. So is it correct that I should do the PM first, then go to PO, or else I can go ahead and do the PO certification?
Mhm. So ideally, first you should understand Agile overall. So when you understand Agile, a lot of your basics will be clear for PO and PM. So PO is somebody, just understand this hierarchy. Correct me if I'm wrong also. PO is a person who is in charge of a certain set of deliverable, maybe one product, max to max, maybe two products, right? That's what a product owner's capacity is. But when it comes to a product manager, it's a bigger role. They are expected to handle much more than just focus on a product. They handle multiple products along with multiple features that's coming in, so their hands are on a lot of things. Whereas as a product owner, you are focused more towards the day-to-day thing, the day-to-day deliverables, the day-to-day team handling, and all of these things. So, according to me, if the certification that is available with SAFE is POPM, right? So it's put in together, but when you see overall as a responsibility, it's it's a lot different. So a
Okay.
lot of market work is done by PMs, whereas PO is not doing a lot of market work. They are more focused towards how my team is performing, how my product is evolving, what are the new features that I can bring in. Purely focus on the work that you have in your hands. But PMs are involved into a lot more than this.
If that is the case, then what's the
Mhm.
role of a PMO?
Role
PM,
of a
Project management
PM.
officer. Yeah.
Yeah, so not every organization will have all of this. That's what I'm trying to say here, that it'll differ from one organization to another. In my case, we did not had a PMO sitting anywhere who is managing everything that the PMs are doing or the POs are doing. The structure, as I mentioned, when you will understand the agile structure completely, you will see that it's not like PMO is like rarely in certain situations where there are a lot of PMs that they're dealing with is when they come in picture.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Thank you, Zeva.
thank you. Scale for probably depends on the scale for yes. It depends on the kind of work that we have, the kind of skill in an organization has expanded its documentation team or the product teams.
Okay. Any other question, anyone? So if there are no questions, so just two lines from me. Agile in general. Okay, based on my experience working with transitions as an IC, as a manager, I am just telling you that what I have observed, Agile in general appears like a very easy thing to manage. Okay, just go in there like the term Zeba used, forced one. You know, you have no choice. You have to work there. And then you take orders, whatever the processes are, you are just working. But think about this thing. That it's very easy. Think about the challenges as a technical documentation team you are facing. You know, there only you know the nitty-gritties, the smaller things, the bigger things, the rules that can be set, that how you can actually drive it for documentation teams. And that if we follow that, then that reduces all those challenges. You all keep on hearing like nobody values us, last minute entries we are getting, nobody is paying attention to this, nobody is listening to us. This is what you need to do. Master it. I'm not saying it can be done only through a course. There are people who have done on their own, but yes, you need to master it. That's the crux of it, and that solves a lot of career related issues which we have as a technical writer. So that's my feeling, and that's what we do. And when we did it, it helped a lot. That's all. So wait a sec. Dhanush has a question. If I'm a sole tech writer in an organization, can I advocate to be a PO?
If you are taking care of a documentation for a product specifically, or anything in specific that you are whole and sole in charge, and if your organization follow Agile, yes, you can.
Okay, so I
For
think
quite
time to
for
wind up.
quite some time, I was the sole writer and a PO as well. So if you are, if your organization is following all those practices dedicatedly, then definitely you can, Dhanush.
Okay, Ziba, anything else? So time frame.
I see
Um,
the questions, yeah, coming in. Puneet, you
okay,
can
let's
take
take this
on how
last
you.
question. Let's take this
Yes.
last question and we will wind it up. Can you please explain the time frame of documentation and release notes? Time frame of documentation and release notes, Diana asks.
That's a pretty vast thing. Probably, I'm not sure how uh, focused it is on
Let's
what
take it,
we are discussing.
let's take
Yes.
it in the group. Probably let's
Yes.
take it in the
Yes.
group WhatsApp.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that
Yes.
because
Yes.
it needs a bigger answer and it needs some more clarification also from
Yes.
Diana.
Yes.
Okay, Diana, please post this in the Agile WhatsApp group and there we can discuss. Okay, Ziba, thank you so much. And
Thank you.
I'm sure it was very helpful to people and some new perspective they were able to see. And we hope to help the community more with you. So thank you again for joining. Anything from you, or else we'll wind up.
Thank you so much. That's all.
Okay, great. So, okay, people, enjoy the weekend, and the recording will be shared, and the PPT will be also shared with you all. And
Yes.
rest, please keep chatting in the Agile group. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye bye.
Thank you. Have a nice
Bye,
weekend.
Ziba.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Thank you so much,
Bye
Sabha.
bye all.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
everyone for
Bye bye.
joining.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Puneet. I'm dropping now.
Yes.
Yeah, take care.
Sure. Thank you. Bye
Yeah,
bye.
bye.
Thanks, Reena.